Welcome to Naked Faith, where we take off the masks, drop the performances, and get honest about what it really means to follow Jesus. I'm Ron, and this is my amazing co-hosts, Grace and Michelle. And together we're creating a space for real conversations, real stories, and real encounters with a love that never gives up. No agendas and no religious hype. Just real people sharing how God met them in the messy middle and pointing to one truth: Jesus still transforms lives. So whether you're walking strong or hanging on by a thread, you're welcome here. This is Naked Faith. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So today we got Michelle is going to share her story with us. So thank you, Michelle, for being open to do that. So what would you like to share with us?
So I think the best place to start is probably in the beginning, of course. So if you haven't listened to the first episode, I'm Michelle. I'm kind of the behind the scenes social media, and I'm also recently just like the new co-host with Ron and Grace. So that's pretty exciting. And a little bit about me. I am a stay-at-home mom of two boys that we homeschool and chase around and do all the boy things. And then we live in a small town in Virginia, probably like 30 minutes from UVA. So we have a lot of cows and chickens like in the area. So
Nice.
That's always fun. But yeah, so that's about me. So we're going to start off in the beginning of my story, which starts off probably my senior year of high school. I didn't grow up in a like Christian family, or we didn't really have a Bible. I don't think I ever opened the Bible when I was a child. The only time I was ever exposed to church or anything is when I went to church with like friends or a family member who would go to church or whatnot. But us as a family, we never really explored that lifestyle. I mean, and I had a pretty good like growing up. It wasn't bad or anything, but we just didn't go to church. So my senior year of high school is when, you're kind of like deciding what school you want to go to. And crazy me decided that the only school I was going to apply to was a large Christian university here in Virginia. I won't say the name, but I'm sure most of you can guess what school that is. And
You can say it.
Liberty University.
Okay. So I was like, I have no idea, but yeah. That makes sense.
If you're, if you've been in the church for a long time, or you've, known Christianity and stuff, I mean, everybody knows who Jerry Falwell was. So crazy me thought, oh, this would be the best idea. Let's apply to Liberty. And I got in, and here I was getting into this culture that I had never been a part of. I mean, like I said, I had never read the Bible. I don't think I've ever looked at a Bible verse in my life at this point. And I thought this was the best idea in the world. And so I attended Liberty. In my freshman year, I was in marching band. So I played clarinet like in concert band, but during marching band season, I was in color guard. And I think that was probably my main focus, is why I applied to Liberty, because I just wanted to be a marching band.
Okay. I was going to ask, like, what made you want to apply to Liberty if you weren't at all affiliated with, the church?
Yeah, it was marching band, and like I said, this is the only place I applied to, so I don't know like what I was thinking my senior year, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and it, like I said, that was kind of a huge culture shock, because I had never been a part of this this culture, I guess you could say. So
well, I was going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Since I obviously know you really well, so you said in your senior high school, but your at that time boyfriend, who became your future husband, is comes from a very strong Christian family. So you never went to church with him?
Not like religiously, no. Like I might have gone like maybe one Sunday or 2 Sundays, but I didn't go with him like every Sunday.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and I had never, at that point in my life, I had never really had those conversations with his parents. I mean, obviously now, because I've known them for so long, I could have those conversations with them. But then I just, I was just a shy little 17-year-old girl who didn't really know where she was going. So
they never like pressured you
mm-mm.
or like, hey, come to church with us, Michelle, or
No, they
made
didn't.
you feel like not welcome because you weren't a Christian?
No, they were extremely welcoming. And my now husband, who I was dating back then, he wasn't, because he was a couple years older than I was, so he was kind of at the point where he could, make his own decisions, and he didn't really go to church that often at that point either.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's the interesting thing. But so one moment I think I can remember that really like got me into this whole whirlwind of everything was I think it was our last night of band camp, and we had usually towards the end of every night we would have just kind of like a big like prayer like devotional time, and for some reason we had I think we had like a guest speaker or something, and he was talking about what it meant to be saved or what it meant to accept Jesus. And that point or that message like really spoke to me. So I was like, hey, I'm going to be saved today. So, they say you do this prayer and you accept Jesus and then everything's great, right? Or that's what they made it out to be. So I was like, this is a great idea. Let's do this. And the problem with that is like there was no like real direction. Like there's nobody there to like guide you or, where you could ask questions, because this was, I mean, looking back on it, that's a big decision to make is, giving your life to Jesus or giving your life to God or however you want to say it. I mean, that's a big decision. And there's a lot
So
of
you were already in college at this point, or were you?
Well, I
So
wouldn't say
this,
it was like right before college. So it was like during band camp. So it was like right before
okay,
like classes and everything started.
at Liberty. Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, this is like I said, this is a great idea. Let's do this. And no really direction or anything. And I really have, I mean, I had like friends that I had in band, but I didn't feel like I was comfortable enough with them to like have those conversations or have those hard conversations of what that really, really meant. And a lot of it was just following what everybody else was doing because you want to fit in. Like you want to, be friends with everybody. You want to, like the same things that they do. And you want to, even though you want to be your own person, like you still want to be a part of that, So I did that. I got baptized there at Liberty, and after my freshman year, I kind of realized that probably wasn't the best idea because I knew that living this Christian, there was a certain way to live this Christian lifestyle. I mean, at this point, I've had the class or like classes and stuff about Bible and what it really meant. And I was like, I don't know if I was really ready to make that decision, or I don't know if I really had that, guidance that I needed at that time. So I decided to leave Liberty and I transferred to a smaller school that was closer to home. And I kind of like lost my way. I mean, at that point, I was a typical 28, 18, 19, 20-year-old person, going out and doing stupid stuff and all that fun stuff. So we kind of like fast forward a couple years. I got married and we decided that we wanted to start our family. And when you're going into that decision of starting your family and such, you have certain expectations. So when I was pregnant, like I expected, you see all those stories like of the pregnancy, whole 9 months, and everybody's so happy, and you're glowing, and it's an exciting time. And as much as I wanted to enjoy that pregnancy, there was a lot going on, and I didn't really feel like I had a lot of direction or a lot of people to turn to. Probably a couple months after I found out I was pregnant, my grandmother passed away, and I was really, really close to her. And that was hard because she, like I said, I was really close with her, and I couldn't share those experiences with her. And so I struggled a lot with that. And then probably a month or two later, is in November of 2015, a lot of like health problems started to come up with the pregnancy. So I was diagnosed with hypertension in pregnancy, and then I was also diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And that was hard to deal with because now I had these health issues, and I have to not only take care of myself now, I have to take care of this tiny baby that is supposed to make it to 40 weeks. And I particularly remember it was Thanksgiving weekend, and I felt horrible that weekend. I couldn't enjoy my Thanksgiving with my family. I just felt really sick. I had headaches. And I kind of thought that was because of everything that had come up. So the gestational diabetes, I was just, learning how to deal with that and how to eat correctly to manage the diabetes. And I was also we were trying to figure out blood pressure medications to help my blood pressure stabilize and stuff. So I just really thought that was why I wasn't feeling good. And, I just shrugged it off. And at the time I had worked at a hospital, so I was working that weekend, and I remember the nurses saying, "You don't look very good. Like, are you sure you're okay?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm great. I'm fine," when I really wasn't fine. So that Monday after the Thanksgiving, I went to my doctor's appointment, and they took my blood pressure, and it was skyrocket. I don't really remember what it was, but it was really high, and it was stroke level at that point. And so my doctor was like, "You know what? Why don't you sit here, like take a couple deep breaths. I'm going to go do something real quick, and I'm going to come back and retake your blood pressure." And I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm just going to scroll my phone. Maybe that will get my mind off of, being at the doctor. Because, I don't know about anyone else, but I have white coat syndrome. So doctors make me nervous anyways. So the doctor came back, and she took my blood pressure again, and it was higher that time. And she was like, "Listen, I'm going to send you to labor and delivery, and I want them to monitor you for a couple hours. And we're going to kind of see where that goes from there. They might take some blood work, and then they'll just send you home, and you'll be fine." I was like, okay. So I go to the hospital, go to labor and delivery. They hook me up onto the blood pressure medication, or the blood pressure cuffs, and they gave me a IV dose of a blood pressure medication to help bring my blood pressure down. And then they took some blood work, and here I am thinking, oh, I'm going to be fine. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, I'm going to be sent home in a couple hours. Like, it's not that big a deal. And so the doctor that was on call that day comes in, and he's like, "Listen," he's like, "You're not okay. You have something it's called severe preeclampsia, and then also along with that, I had HELLP syndrome, which is kind of like a ugly cousin of preeclampsia, and it has it affects your liver and your red blood cells and platelet levels and stuff." And he's like, "We're going to send you over to another hospital because we can't do tiny babies here. Like, we can't do premature babies here." And at this point, I was 29 weeks pregnant. And so they sent over, they were going to send me in their ambulance, but their ambulance happened to be out. So they called the other hospital, which is like 30 minutes away. And they were like, we can't wait for your ambulance. We're going to send our ambulance over to take her back to our hospital. So the other ambulance comes over and we get in and we go to the other hospital. And the same thing, like they hooked me up to all the blood pressure cuffs, all the IVs and stuff. And they tried to bring my blood pressure down, and it just kept getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And it came to the point where the doctor comes in and I think it was a girl. She was like, hey, we're going to have to deliver. Like that's the only way to get all of this under control. So at 29 weeks, we had our first baby, and that was, being in those situations, that was extremely hard. And I don't really feel like I had anybody to turn to because I didn't know anybody who had ever been through this before. So they sent our oldest to the NICU, and that alone, like, that comes with a whole, like, bundle of emotions, because now not only do you have to take care of yourself because you are sick, you also have to worry about another human being that you're supposed to care for and take care of and everything. And I felt really lost and I felt really scared. And like I said, I had family around, and I had family everywhere that were like, oh, we're going to pray for you and everything. But honestly, I felt alone. Like, I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to. And went to the NICU every single day for 50. He was in the NICU for 51 days. So I went every single day to see him, and you have those feelings that come up saying, or you have those feelings like you don't feel like you're a mom because you don't have or you're not taking care of your baby. You have this whole other team that's taking care of your baby, and people reassuring me like, oh, like, this is a time that you need to take care of yourself. Like, we got your baby. But having those feelings of, I'm supposed to do that. Like, that's my job. And knowing that, like, other people around me were able to, like, take their babies home and take care of them and stuff. So that was also another, like, really, really hard thing to go through. But so we got through.
Can I ask something real quick? Like, was your husband with you while you were doing all that, at least?
Yeah, okay. He was. No, he was. But, and I don't know, like, how to explain it. Like, it was just hard because I didn't feel like even he understood what I was feeling.
Right. Of course.
He did his best, honestly, and he did everything that he needed to do as my husband. But it's just, I think it's one of those situations where you just feel alone.
It feels very isolating when you're, but I just want to say, like, I know people have gone through all those kinds of things, but in the moment, I totally understand. Yeah. It's like there's no one else, but let's carry on.
So we were in the NICU for 51 days with him. And after he got out of the NICU, he was fine. He was, a regular little baby. And now, like, you would even know that he was born prematurely. We had our normal, like, developmental issues that we had to overcome and stuff. But other than that, like, he's just a normal little kid. I guess not little kid. He's almost 10 now. So
wow.
He's a crazy big kid now. So we went through that. And then a couple years later, we decided we wanted to have a second one. And, the same like, thoughts, like, oh, this one's going to be normal because I've already gone through this, like, life-changing event with my first one. Like, everything, yeah, so I was like, everything's going to be normal. We're not going to, go through what we did before. My doctors this time around were a lot more on top of everything. I had a lot more doctor's appointments, and we had a plan set in place because I was more likely to get it. If you have preeclampsia the first time, like your odds of getting it the second time are higher than if you hadn't had it the first time. So we had conversations with our doctors, and we had a whole plan in place. And then 20 weeks hits, and it happens again. So I go, and the funny thing is that I saw the same exact doctor I had seen the first one. So she was like, you know what? It's probably because you're anxious, because the last time this happened, I was your doctor. And I was like, yeah, that's probably what it is. So it was like almost the same exact doctor's appointment I had with my first one. Like, she came in, she took my blood pressure. It was extremely high. She left, and then she came back in, and it was still high. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to have to send you over to the hospital again to be monitored. And I was like, okay, this is great. And I was trying, since I had a little one already at home, I was trying to be, I guess, the bigger person or the stronger person. Like, oh, I'm fine. Like, no one needs to come to the hospital. Like, I'll be out in a couple hours type thing, which I should have learned the first time, like, that wasn't going to happen. So I went to the hospital, got all hooked up again, and they did the same things. They took my blood pressure, they took blood, and the doctor comes back again, and he's like, listen, he's like, you just can't hold a pregnancy. He was like, it's, you have severe preeclampsia again. He's like, it's on the verge of being HELLP, so we're going to send you over to the other hospital to be monitored. So I was sent over again to the other hospital and hooked up to all the monitors and all that. And the doctor there came in, and they're like, well, luckily, like, they were able to get my blood pressure under control. They were concerned about, I think it was my liver enzymes were high, which is concerning because that can cause like liver damage and stuff. So they're like, we're going to keep you in the hospital, and we're going to keep monitoring you. So I was having blood work done I think it was probably like every like hour. They were coming in, taking blood work. And there is probably a day, I was in the hospital for 10 days, but it was probably like the second day, the doctor comes in, and they were like, we're not sure that we're going to be able to wait until 30 or, longer. Like, and I was I think I was 21 weeks there, or at that point. We're like, we're not sure we can wait any longer. Like, we're going to try to, and we're going to monitor you, but we might have to take the baby now. And 21 weeks is a lot more dangerous than a 29-week baby. So we had other doctors come in. We had the NICU team, we had the anesthesia team, we had pediatrics team and stuff, and coming up with a plan of delivering this tiny 21-week baby, which, only had, I think it was only like a 50% chance of living. And so that was in itself scary, because I've never had to deal with a 21-week baby. Like, I knew how to do a 29-week baby, but I didn't know how to do a little baby. And it was kind of the same, feeling. Like, I was like, what? One, why is this happening again? And two, why do I feel so alone in this? And I mean, I had like I said, I have a great support system. I had, like, my parents and my in-laws were there. I had family members like that don't even live in the state, texting and checking in all the time, and everything. And again, I'm here in this position, and I feel completely alone and completely lost. Oh, here's the one I'm talking about.
Alive and well.
Yep. So luckily, and I don't know if it was a God, it had to be a God thing, because a couple hours later they came in and they're like, this is really weird, but everything is kind of in the normal range now. And I was like, are you sure that's, are you sure that's really what you're saying? And they're like, yeah, like we're not sure like what happened or anything, but we're still going to monitor you. We're still going to keep a close eye, but we're going to try to get you to 30. I think at that point they wanted to at least get me to 37 weeks pregnant. So I was able to go home and, enjoy a couple more weeks that I had left of being pregnant and be able to be, present for my oldest. And so we would go back and forth 30 minutes to the doctor's appointments every week. And then it was probably about 32 weeks. I had, like my usual checkups and stuff and blood work to make sure like my liver enzymes were good and my platelet levels were good. And then they started to drop again, or my liver enzymes started to elevate and my platelet levels started to drop again. So they were like, you're going to have to come back to the hospital and we're going to have to monitor you. And so I get back to the hospital, get all hooked up again. And they did all of their things and everything was starting to look good. And they're like, we're probably going to just send you home. And the nurse was like doing my discharge papers and my blood pressure just started like going up higher and higher and higher. And the alarm kept going off. And the nurse comes back in and she's like, I don't think you're going to go home now. So she called back the doctor and they did another test and everything even before I left the hospital at this point, everything had went back to the way it was before. And they were like, we're going to admit you and you're going to be in here until you deliver. So a couple hours later, the doctor comes back in and they're like, we can't wait any longer. We're going to have to deliver him at 32 weeks. So my second one was delivered at 32 weeks and, we were in the NICU for like 32 days, 31 days or something. And again, it was that same feeling of just feeling lost and alone, because even though like all these people around me had been through the first one with me, they didn't know how I was feeling. Like they didn't know, the feeling of not being able to have your child with you. And I had developed postpartum depression or anxiety, and that was hard to deal with on top of everything else, because everything was happening and I kept asking. I remember asking, like, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? And so we were able to bring him home at 32 days later, and everything, as you saw before, everything, he's a normal little wild little boy and everything. So he lived his normal life, and then I think, he was born in 2018, and the beginning of COVID kind of started like the next year, so like 2019. So now was it 2019? I don't know.
I mean, it was the end of 19,
yeah.
But
so now we're dealing with COVID, and I was now that I had two kids, I kind of realized, or I kind of was like, maybe I wanted more for my kids at that point. So I started to, read the Bible. I started to get more into my faith. And actually, one book, or Ron's wife, Christina, had sent me over a book on like my Kindle or something that I had read, and that kind of like opened like this page that I had shut like years before when I went to Liberty. So that was kind of like the catalyst into where I'm at now. So we went through COVID and everything. And after COVID is when we decided that we wanted to start, attending church and getting, more into our faith and giving that foundation to our kids that I didn't have growing up. So we started attending the church that my in-laws had attended for, I don't even know how long they have been at that church. So we started going there, and my mother-in-law was asked by the children's minister if she would be interested in teaching Sunday school. And she's like, yeah, I have somebody else that would be really good at it. Let's ask her. So my mother-in-law comes up to me and she's like, hey, do you want to teach Sunday school? And I'm like, I don't know. Because, I mean, I'm just this new Christian. Like I said, I just started, like, getting into or reading the Bible. The only stories I really knew were, like, Adam and Eve, Noah, like the basic story, or, like the stories that everybody knows. So I was like, I'm not really sure that's like the best idea. And she's like, just try it out. You can help me out. So I started teaching Sunday school, and a lot of the stories and verses and everything that I know now is because I taught Sunday school. And I think, I don't know if I read this somewhere, but they said, or somebody had said, like, in a book or on a podcast or something, that sometimes the best way to start, like, understanding the Bible is starting in, like, a children's story Bible. And that's where I started. So I learned a lot of, like, I learned a lot of the stories and what it meant to be a Christian. I had a lot more direction. And I ended up being rebaptized, I think it was like 2 years ago. And it just kind of has grown my faith. My kids are more grounded into the church. They love going to Sunday school. Here in a couple weeks, they're going to start attending a private Christian hybrid school. So they'll be both, like, in a private school and homeschooled. And but all of those, like, events were, like, catalysts to where I am now. And of course, being on the podcast too has been a huge, like, book to open, because I'm learning a lot from you guys. And so that's where I'm at in my faith. And it just kind of shows you that even though I didn't know it at the time, looking back on those moments now, like, God was always there. There was always that, light, and that's what got me through to where I'm at now, and how I live as a person.
So when you were going through all this, did you at any point, like, did you yourself pray for,
I didn't.
You didn't?
No. Because I didn't, honestly, I didn't really know how to pray. Now, I do know that, so a couple of years ago when we were down in Florida visiting you guys, and I think it's somebody's birthday, and we had a birthday party or something at a church. I think it was my grandpa, so your dad, Ron. Was it?
Oh, yeah.
So it was at, like, I guess their home church or something. And I remember one of the ladies, I guess that was in my grandmother's prayer group or something, had pulled me aside, and she's like, hey, can you show me your oldest? And I was like, yeah. I was like, he's over there. And she's like, it's really cool to see him, because we prayed every week for him when he was in the NICU. And so that was kind of cool to, experience that. And I'm sure that was cool for her to see, sometimes like when you pray for other people, you don't always know who they are. So I thought that was a cool thing. But for me, I never, in those moments, I didn't. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. What made you? I don't know. What made you want to start reading the Bible though? Because you felt like
I just
wanted to.
Yeah, like I mean, and I think a lot of it was my mother-in-law. She pushed me a lot to where to be like the Sunday school teacher, and I'm sitting here like I've never actually. I don't know the story, so even like I would read the children's version, and then I would go into my Bible and read like the actual version in my Bible. So, and
but because sorry, I mean you can continue.
No, go for it.
Well, because you said you wanted to start reading it like right before COVID, and that was like before you started going to church. So like, what do you remember? Like, what was there that you felt like you wanted to start reading it?
I don't really remember what was there, but I just remember it was weird. Like I just had like this feeling like, oh, maybe I should like pull out my Bible and read this passage. A lot of times I would just like open it to a random page and just read it. And I, like getting the kids to sleep or whatnot. Like sometimes that would be their bedtime story. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd say you could say you felt like a calling.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah.
Is there any specific passage or story in the Bible that you like either resonate the most with or impacted you the most, like since starting that journey?
That's a good question.
like is there anything that's prominent for you in some way?
I think the one that sticks out for me the most is Deborah. I think that's the one. Just because she was, I hope I'm not thinking of this wrong, but she was kind of, God had asked her to, help lead Sisera or whatnot with this army and stuff. And I just think that's cool that God, we have been doing this. Also, we've been doing this like whole thing about women in the Bible, and I think she's cool. So
yeah, that's actually so interesting because I actually don't think I'd really know anything about her in the Bible. And earlier today, I had a follow up for my knee from my knee surgery, and I heard 2 separate women get called back, and they were both named Deborah.
Oh, funny!
Like in the waiting room, and I'm like, now you said that, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to look into that story,
And I hope that's
maybe somebody's talking to you.
Yeah.
right.
Just saying,
It's
sometimes we just have to listen to the voice.
Right.
We really do.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The problem is I'm not always paying attention.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with all of us, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess because, I could go back to the first part of your story. So you go to Liberty, and it's interesting that you're saying that they didn't have, so they bring this speaker in to talk to you guys about life at Liberty, I guess. Is that what it was?
Yeah, and I don't really exactly remember what the talk was about, but I do remember towards the end, he was like, say this prayer in your head and you're saved. Okay. If that's all that it takes, then sure, why not?
So I guess my question then be, what were you thinking? Okay, so you're listening to this speaker and he's telling you to say this prayer and you're going to be saved. What did you think the outcome was going to be? What were you expecting, I guess?
I think what every Christian, if you're not prepared or you're not, people see on this outside, these Christians are these happy-go-lucky people that have this best, the best life, and they have that persona, everything's fine, everybody's got this, because I didn't, I hadn't really like heard of any stories of people who struggled, or who are Christians who struggled at this point. So that's what I'm thinking, like, oh, my life's going to be great. And that's how they portrayed it, honestly. Oh, this is going to be, your life's going to be great because you're going to do this. And it's really not. Like, that's really just kind of like becoming a Christian, or accepting that, accepting that part of your life. I mean, you have to know that you're going to have struggles, and you're going to, go through really hard things, but you have somebody, even though you might feel alone, you have somebody on your side. There's, a higher power that you can pray to. And I mean, he knows who you are. He, what do they say? He knows you by name. And he knows what you're going to go through, and he knows the outcome. So he knows that you're going to be okay. And I mean, I don't feel like that in the beginning was communicated to me. It's just like, oh, your life's going to be great. You're going to get $1 million and all that fun stuff.
You found Christianity. You just won the lottery.
Yeah, and that's how it felt. Like,
right. Yeah.
And I mean, not to it's a great school, and like, not to knock them down or anything, but I mean, that's really how it was presented to me, I felt like.
So then none of the friends that you had at Liberty, like, I mean, obviously you made friends that first semester, right? So none of them were, like, kind of helped you on your journey?
So it's really funny, because these, Christians that I guess had grown up in Christianity, once they get to Liberty, I mean, they're going behind people's, going behind like all the rules, because we had a set of rules that we had to follow. Like, we had a curfew, we had to be in our dorm by like a certain time, and we had a dress code, like we certain things we couldn't wear to class, and we had like convocation and stuff every like Wednesday, like I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something. And it's funny because these people are like going behind, not to like tell on anybody, but they're going out to like these parties in Lynchburg, and going out and seeing these movies that we're not allowed to go see, and being a typical 18-year-old teenager. And so I always thought that was kind of funny. So no, I mean, looking back, I don't think I really, I mean, I may have had like a friend or two that I could confide in, but we were all just lost 18, 19, 20-year-olds who, just trying to figure out life together, I guess.
Yeah, and live your life. Yeah,
I get that.
I just hearing your story, I'm like, you're so strong. Like, to have gone through all of that, that's amazing. Seriously.
Thank you.
Like, I know that you felt super alone and everything, but maybe I feel like in hindsight, like, that shows your strength. And and even like the fact that you had that like prayer at Liberty your freshman year of like, you prayed this and you're saved. To me, that almost sounds like it was like just a nice little like blanket, or like some kind of just foundation to like help you get through that experience, even if you weren't like conscious of it at the time of your pregnancy and everything. And then it just kind of like came full circle when you really deepened into that faith.
And I look at that moment like now, and it would, it really was like a, opening a book, because like I said before that, I had never been, I've never experienced any of this. So I really think like that was a pivotal moment in my life to where I am now, because I don't think without that event I would be here.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the book was?
No.
The one that Christina gave you?
Oh, the one. Oh.
Is that what you're talking about, Ron?
Yeah.
What was the book? I don't know. I think it was, I want to say it's called Uninvited. I think.
Interesting.
So.
Ron, you'll have to like see if she remembers or something.
Yeah, here's the thing about people our age, Grace. We don't remember things 20 years ago.
Like I think that's what it was called, but I don't really remember, and I couldn't tell you what the book was about. I think yeah, it's been a long time since I've read it, but
right.
Yeah. So I guess the question I have then is, do you feel like so I mean you're sitting in college and you hear this speech and you make this decision, I'm going to say this prayer, and if there had been counselors or mentors, like I mean it's hard to say at 18 years old, how receptive would you have been to that?
So yeah, I don't know if I would have really been receptive to that at 18 years old. I'm sure there was like counselors or people that I could talk to, but I mean,
that's not something you think of.
Yeah, that's not something you think of at 18 years old. You're like, ooh, I'm out of the house, I'm on my own. Like, what trouble can I get into?
Right, exactly. Yeah. True. Go ahead. Sorry, Grace.
I was just going to ask, did you have to, like, I know you were only there for a year, but did you have to, like, go to church every week? Like, was that mandatory?
We didn't have to go to church, like, but we had, I guess it was kind of like church. So we had, like, a convocation. So there'd be, worship at the beginning. And then they usually would have, like, a speaker come in and talk to, like, and it was a whole school. Like, there's this big stadium, like, in the middle of campus, and everybody would come and the speaker would speak and everything, and like there's no classes during that time, like nothing outside of this big stadium was going on. So I guess that would you could count that as church.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
what were you gonna say, Ron?
See, I don't remember because I don't know what I was gonna say. Okay, so I guess thinking, now fast forward here, and so both your boys are born, and you open this book just randomly. Like, I guess, what was that process? So, like, you just opened up your Kindle, and this book that your aunt had given you was just there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was just there, and I hadn't, because she had sent it when I think was in the hospital with Jensen, and I didn't really I think I had told her about it, and she sent it because I remember the text where she sent me. She's like, "Hey, we want to send you, something to like pass the time while you're in the hospital. Like, is there a book that you're interested in?" And I was like, "Hey, can you just, I think I gave her a couple books, and that was the one she had sent." And yeah, it had just been on my Kindle because I never got a chance to read it until when at whatever point I was able to open it up and actually sit down and read it. So.
Okay, so the sad part of that is I would have had to do that because she would never have figured out how to send you a book on Kindle. So.
Oh, exposed. Oh.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, she'll admit she's not the techie person, so she has to come
my uncle sent me the book.
Yeah. No, it was all her idea. I'm not taking credit for her, but she would have said, "Hey, send Michelle this book," and I would have had to go on the Kindle. And, okay, great.
Yeah. Have you met anyone since your pregnancies that's dealt with like preeclampsia? Because I know that is a pretty big thing.
Yeah. I've met a couple people, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a family member or something had been through it before, but I don't know if it was it, I feel like it was.
Yeah, we went through something similar, not nearly as severe as yours, but yes, with Dimitri, our oldest, she had pregnancy-induced hypertension. She was preeclampsia, but never matriculated into full eclampsia. So, but it wasn't, again, we were fortunate and blessed. Dimitri made it to 36 weeks before they told us that they were going to deliver him, because that's the same thing, right? We go, the whole last trimester of her pregnancy, she was in and out of the hospital like every other weekend, and we would joke because that would be the thing. Oh, we're going to the doctor. I guess we're going to spend the weekend in the hospital this time, And so, and then our doctor had told us that, well, if you make it to 36 weeks, then we're probably going to deliver the baby because the cure for pregnancy-induced hypertension and preeclampsia is delivery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we joke because it was a Friday, and we were heading to the doctor's that morning, and it was right at the beginning of 36 weeks, and so our joke was like, "Oh, I bet you by this time tomorrow we're going to be parents," and sure enough, by that time tomorrow we were.
Wow.
We were because they sent her to the hospital and like normal. I mean, we were expecting it because it was the weekend. It was that weekend that we were supposed to be in the hospital, and so yeah. So, but I mean, she didn't have nearly the health issues that Michelle had, but it was very similar. Yeah. So,
but
because I remember when you got pregnant and you started having these issues, I think this was why she reached out to you to say, hey, if you need anything, like I kind of went through something similar, but not.
Yeah.
But now with our second one, she had no health issues whatsoever. It was normal. And so, like, again, unlike Michelle, like that second pregnancy there were no issues other than she was 40. She was 40. That was the only issue because we were because of her age. Surprisingly, it was a normal pregnancy where we expected to have a lot more issues because of her age, because only crazy people have babies in their 40s. So
anything's possible.
We did.
Yeah.
So wow. So okay. So now you're going to church and you're a Sunday school teacher. And didn't you just do vacation Bible school with your church?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah. So that's my second year of being the preschool director for Vacation Bible School. So that's
Oh wow.
That sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility. It's
right.
A lot of work.
Right, because how many kids was it?
So we have a really large church, and I think we had like 150 to 200 kids.
Wow.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
So you went from I don't want to teach Sunday school because I don't know anything to now you're the preschool director
of VBS.
Of VBS.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you the preschool director
for the
year round, or it was just
no? So we have, since our church is so large, we have a thing called a craft team. So the craft team gets all the crafts ready for Sunday school, and then we're also in charge of the for our big events like trunk or treat or Easter and stuff. So I am the leader over that. So I work right under, and it's a volunteer position, so not paid for it, but I work right under the children's ministers. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Well. So what would you say? Okay, so if somebody's listening to this and they're struggling, they're having, I don't want to say struggle, that's the wrong word. If they're experiencing the similar issues, right? What would you say to them now that you are a Christian and you believe in prayer and you believe that there is a creator that loves us? What advice would you give to someone who's facing something of magnitude of what you went through? So
I would say, especially if you're going through that now, it gets better. It might seem dark now, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And you might not see that right now. But there is. And make sure that you celebrate every small milestone, whether it's, especially if you're in the NICU, even if it's just, your baby ate 1 ounce of milk that day, or, anything. Just celebrate every single milestone. And yeah, you're not alone. Like, there are people out there, there's resources out there. And luckily at this point, there's so much advancement in like the medical field that, they can take care of a lot smaller babies, and they have a lot more resources out there for people. So,
So what would you say, I guess, since we are a faith-based podcast, what would you say, like, what would you do, like, knowing what you know now, right? So if you put yourself back in that position and you're a Christian, like, what would you say to that? How
Like,
would, I mean, do you think that would have changed? Go ahead, Grace. You know what I'm trying to
I was gonna ask, what would you say to yourself, like, in those moments, like feeling alone in the hospital and like the stress of like dealing with all of that? What would you say to yourself?
As a Christian, how would you do that?
I would definitely prayer, like, because I feel even now, like, I haven't been through anything since then that's like catastrophic, but just even like the little like issues, like, I always feel when I talk to God, like, I always feel somewhat at peace. So I just say, just pray. I mean, you might not, like I said, you might feel alone, you might feel, abandoned, but you're not abandoned, and just to pray. Hopefully that.
So are you part of any support groups, or like on a level where you could be, I don't want to say a mentor, that might be the wrong word, but you know what I'm saying? Where, like, if somebody's struggling with this and, like you said, you felt alone because you didn't know anybody that had gone through this, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I'm sure, a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, but this is probably not as a rare occurrence as we think it is, right?
Yeah.
And so there's people there are women out there who, I don't know what the statistics are, but let's say it's 1 in every 100. If that's the case, then that's a lot, right? So there's a lot of people that may be going to their doctor just like you did and getting this news, and they're, what do I do with this, right?
Right.
And so are there support groups? Like, could you be a mentor now?
I'm sure there's support groups. I'm not like actively a mentor in any of them, but I had people reach out, or like friends reach out saying, hey, my friend is going through what you go through. Can you, talk to them, or, just reach out to them. I would love eventually to start maybe a support group or something, but right now, I don't even know if I would have the time to be a mentor to somebody else.
It sounds like you could easily make, create a group at your church too, if it's that big of a community.
Right.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like with this podcast, especially with this story, hopefully it does reach out to other people that may have been through the same thing, or who currently are going through the same thing. And, if you are, like, reach out to us, like, let us pray for you, and let us help you, guide you through that. So,
leave a comment or something if you're interested in like getting a group together or something, and you're
we would love that.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. We should start a prayer list. People want us to pray about something, then
okay.
We have 105 followers on Facebook right
now.
So we should.
That's exciting. Y'all, everybody's like balking at that, but to me, it's exciting, right?
No, yeah, of course.
That is exciting.
Of course.
So
definitely,
we'll put that on the list. We'll make sure.
And last time I checked, hold on, since we're here, I got the statistics. Because I've got all the statistics software now. Like, I'm looking at all this stuff all the time. We have had 60 plays on our podcast so far.
That's awesome.
Since we launched. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We still only have 11 followers on Spotify. So if you're listening to this,
follow us.
Like, follow,
Yeah.
It helps boost our numbers.
Yes.
But still, it's like if you, I see this all the time on social media, like, because people complain about, like, oh, I don't get many views and, like, all this and everything. But it's like, if you picture, if we're, like, in a room with, like, 11 other people, that's still, like, a crowd to, like, speak in front of, even if it's a small, like, panel, you know, or whatever. Like, that's still, you know, you're in a room with people. So, no matter, and including 105 people, all those followers on Facebook, you know? Like, it's weird to think about how social media has kind of skewed the idea of like numbers and metrics, because like if you think about 100 people in a room together, that's pretty big party, you know. So
big party.
so like it's just like you said, Michelle, even we can celebrate those little milestones, you know.
Little milestones, exactly.
Of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for being the first to come on and tell their story.
Yeah.
And just for people listening, we did not coerce this in any way.
Okay.
I just want to make sure people know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
so
course.
I really want to acknowledge you for being the first brave person to come on and share your story. So like, that's really cool. That's kind of why we started this, right? So I hope that people got something out of this and thinks, you know, like very powerful. I can see where God showed up at the moments that maybe you didn't recognize. And, you know, like I would attribute that there were people praying for you and you know, it was the precursor to where you're at now. Like that's, and that to me, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you got to meet somebody who you didn't even know, who's like, oh yeah, we've been praying for your kids all the time. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
You know, in a random place like Inverness, Florida.
I know.
Is it called Inverness?
Yeah, that's the name of the town. Yeah.
That's wild, because just knowing Shakespeare and all that, but like, do you know Inverness, Scotland is like where the Scottish play takes place. I almost don't want to say it. It's Macbeth is where it takes place, but yeah. Anyways.
Okay, well, I don't know anything about Inverness, Scotland, but I can assure you that Inverness, Florida is probably not like,
the same at all. Yeah, of course.
It is a very rural town out in the middle of Florida, and how they even ended up there,
I know.
10 years later still baffles my
mind.
Maybe they got to come on the podcast and share their story sometime.
You know, you know, when they called and said, "Oh, we're going to move to Florida," I said, "Great, come to Florida, but don't live 2 hours away." And they're like, "Oh, well, we're going to move to Inverness." And I'm like, "That's 2 hours away." And they were like, "Yeah, well," and then they had all these excuses to why they were going to live there. And I'm thinking, but your kid and your grandkids live in Orlando. Like, why would you move 2 hours away? I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Right? So,
I mean,
but anyway.
you have them living in Orlando. I mean, they had other choices. I mean, they could have moved to Virginia. I mean, they could have stayed in Indiana with their other child. Like, there's a lot of more choices.
They had options. Options. Their children are geographically dispersed.
So they could have chose anything.
So the message is, be grateful that your parents are actually as close as they are. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I make fun of them, but I love them to death. And,
yes, of course.
I'm grateful that I still have them both, because you know, that's a whole nother story in its own right. But because one has probably shouldn't be here right now. So
he is quite a story.
Yeah, quite a story there. But yeah, so anyway, that's another story for another day.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Michelle, for being open and sharing. And I love getting to know more about people and their stories. So thank you. And for anyone that may be watching or listening, like, I think every human being can attest to like feeling alone at literally any point in their life, you know? And so to just like hear someone else's story and know that there's always a moment, you know, that we experience that but
Absolutely.
knowing that it's not always like that. And yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So if you're listening and you have a request or you want a prayer request, or even if you want to come on, just let us know. Email us. All the social media links are there at Facebook and Spotify, YouTube. Our email address is nakedfaithpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from anybody that's listening, or, if you're thinking about it, just take the leap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'd love to have you on here.
Absolutely.
of course.
Oh.
All right.
All right. And if you like this, again, like us on Spotify, like us on, I haven't checked the YouTube statistics in a while. So,
Okay.
But
yeah, follow us, share it if you feel like
share
it's,
it, tell
if
your
you know
friends.
something, like, especially, this is what I wanted to say before, like, with your story, Michelle, like, especially women and those who have gone through pregnancy, I feel like that is such a common feeling that a lot of women have. Even if they don't specifically go through what you went through, they still have all those, feelings and experiences. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone can relate to this story, feel free to share with those that you know and love. And yeah, we're here to support you in any way. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
And we will see you next time.
We'll see you next
Bye.
time.
All right, bye.
Bye.